And tonight we are live from the Aristone Theater in San Remo, Italy, as HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. The undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, defends his crown against the WBA's #1 contender, Fulgencio Obelmejias. It is an event that the city of San Remo has awaited for a long time, and in fact, the entire country of Italy. This place is sold out, packed to its 1,800 rafter, and just down the block there's a movie theater that is showing a closed circuit of this event that is also sold out. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with the welterweight champion of the world, Sugar Ray Leonard. Well, while you settle in for an evening of television back home, it is, as Larry Merchant mentioned, 3 a.m. in the morning here. It is already All Saints Day. Halloween comes tomorrow, but as you can see, Ray and I already dressed for the occasion. We came to this party as penguins. Got a good fight for you tonight. Marvin Hagler, Fulgencio Obelmejias, Fully Obel, if you will. Marvin Hagler, Ray, has been in a ring just 67 seconds in the last year, and I can't help but wonder if that would have a negative effect on him tonight.
Well, Barry, normally inactivity does hurt a fighter, but in my case, when I had a rematch with Roberto Duran, I had the fight, 5 months later. Didn't bother me at all. The same with Marvin Hagler. It shouldn't bother him because he's always in the gym and he's always in shape. It shouldn't be a factor.
Fully Obel is the kind of guy who fights directly at his opponent. Straight-up fighter, comes right at his man. That's what he did for 37 times coming up to Marvin Hagler. When he fought Hagler, he came out on the losing end. 38 out of 39, it worked for Fully Obel, but when he fought Marvin Hagler, it didn't. But can he change?
Well, a fighter learns from his mistakes, but once you're a fighter and you have a certain style, you can't change. Fully Obel cannot change. The only thing he can improve on is his confidence.
So Fully Obel, who says he's got nothing but confidence, he said, as a matter of fact, yesterday when we spoke with him point blank, I am going to win this championship tonight. Well, doing it the day before the fight and doing it in an 18-foot square ring remains to be seen. It is very much two different things. Right now, let's go to New York and our own Larry Merchant. Larry?
Barry, one question for Ray. Ray, we know that prize fighters are used to getting up at all hours of the morning to train and run. Have they undergone any special training for a fight at this hour of the morning?
But, Lord, to be perfectly honest with you, I would prefer to be at a party right now. It is a major transition for a fighter to fight this early in the morning. But it depends on how Marvin Hagler prepared himself for this fight, whether or not he's able to adjust to this time. Only time will tell, and that's a big question. We'll soon find out in a few moments.
We'll be back to you in a few moments, Ray. Marvin Hagler says the 6-foot 1-inch broad-shouldered Fully Obelmejias looks like a light heavyweight. In two important respects, he's a heavyweight. He showed in their first fight that he has a big heart, and he's shown again that he has big political connections. As undisputed champion, Hagler has to fight the top contender in both the WBC and the WBA annually. Obelmejias qualified in the WBC last time, the WBA this time. In some measure, that can be attributed to the Latin flavor in those bodies, and that can be traced to the 60s and 70s when such great champions as Roberto Duran, Carlos Monzon, and Jose Napoles took economic influence in boxing south of the border. But at a time when not many middleweights can seriously challenge Hagler, Obelmejias may be as serious as any of them. The trick for him tonight will be to recapture the feeling of invincibility he took into the ring as an unbeaten challenger. He'll need that conviction to have any chance, and he's working at it. Here's Barry Tompkins.
Fulgencio Obelmejias was born in Miranda, Venezuela, and today he is the leading contender for the middleweight crown. After an appearance in the '76 Olympics, he turned pro. After 27 wins, he faced Freddie Johnson here in San Remo. Against a less than spectacular opponent, Fully Obel, as he is called by some, displayed some of the punching power which makes him a threat today. Then on October 31st of 1980, American Leroy Green Jr. took on Fully Obel in Rome. It was a brutal third-round knockout. And after his 28th victory, he was the #1 contender for Marvin Hagler's crown. The title shot was in Boston, Massachusetts on January 17th, 1981. Fully Obel was described as the middleweight champion's mystery guest. In the early rounds, Obel surprised Marvelous Marvin and many at ringside. But by the 7th round, Obel was dragging from an apparent cold, which he complained of after the fight. The #1 contender was gasping for air and trying to pressure Hagler with some wild rights and lefts. But the relentless champion finally finished the challenger off with some vicious combinations, which sent Fully Obel and his faithful Venezuelan followers back home without the title. returned to Caracas, he climbed right back into the ring. 4 months later, he met Norberto Cabrera, a respected opponent, and took care of him in just 5 rounds. It was a devastating knockout and symbolic proof that the former Central American champion would return. Just 3 weeks later, Obel continued his climb back to the top of the ratings. Joe Gonzalez was a stepping stone to another title shot, a very easy second-round knockout. He was Fully's 31st victim, and Obel went on to score 3 more knockouts in 1981. Then on June 14th, 1982, Obel completed his long journey back to the top of the rankings with this convincing knockout of Rey Escalera. The WBA placed the Venezuelan as a mandatory challenger to the middleweight crown. He has come full circle, and now Fulgencio Obelmejias faces Marvelous Marvin Hagler in a rematch for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world. I talked to him about the challenge.
Since the first time I met Hagler, I have been thinking about it and trying to do what I wanted to do. And now I've been improving all the time for the next match with him.
Fully, it was learned after the fight last time that you had a cold and later that you had bronchitis. And yet some of Marvin Hagler's people were in your locker room for the taping. They said you were shadowboxing, you were breathing just fine. Why did it not come out until after the fight?
Everyone in my camp knew about this bronchitis, but it had to be kept a secret from Marvin Hagler's trainer.
Fully, you've always been a straight-ahead kind of fighter. You come right at your man. You did that with Marvin Hagler last time, and Marvin Hagler knocked you out. 38 out of 39 times it was successful, but do you have to change your style now?
I will win, and I'll be the new champion.
Words of confidence from a challenger who must now take them from the gym to the ring as he tests the man who's appeared invincible against the world's middleweights.
Marvin Hagler has dubbed himself Marvelous with a capital M, and he's given us no reason to think otherwise. He is, many observers feel, a better fighter now than he was when he won the title more than 2 years ago. He's turned his frustration while struggling toward the top into a positive crusade to stay there. In fact, Hagler had to use the same system as Obelmejias, the mandatory challenge, to get his shot. In the bad old days of boxing, it was not uncommon for worthy challengers to be overlooked, ignored, and bypassed, especially if, like Hagler, they come from out-of-the-way places without connections in the boxing establishment. Hagler comes from Brockton, Massachusetts. Another Brockton product, Rocky Marciano, was welcomed into the establishment because of his exciting knockout style. What Marvin Hagler has in common with him is a single-minded toughness that has won him grudging respect only after he became a champion.
Main Street in Brockton, Massachusetts was once alive with cheers for their native son, heavyweight champion Rocky Marciano, a man idolized by the whole town. And now, some 30 years later, there's a new face, WBC, WBA middleweight champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler, who many boxing experts believe, pound for pound, is the greatest fighter in the world. These two celebrated champions had much more in common than just a hometown. Both struggled for recognition in their early pro careers. Marciano had 42 fights and Hagler 49 before they were given the opportunity to fulfill a lifelong dream.
He has had a lot of bad breaks also in the beginning. I think this is what motivated him. You know, he had a lot of things against him, short arms, he's only 5'10", you know, he had a lot of obstacles.
Yet, it was Marv who faced the toughest challenge. He lost his first bid for the title on a controversial draw with Vito Antuofermo.
I felt as though I won that fight, and I still believe that in my heart. That's something that nobody can take away from me. I thought right there that I only had one opportunity, and, you know, they just can't take it away from you.
No two champions ever trained harder to retain their titles than Marciano and Hagler. Rocky used to go into isolation for up to 6 months before defense, and Marvelous Marvin locks himself up in what he calls jail. With tremendous will and determination, both title holders dominated their weight division to such a degree that neither received the big payday. Keeping the inflation rate in mind, both Rocky and Marvin had earned comparable dollars in the ring. But while Marvin's frustration stemmed from a lack of competition, Rocky suffered from poor management. Rocky dreaded the banks to such a degree that he hid most of his money. And after 2 years, he calls it quits as undefeated champion.
I would like to announce my retirement from boxing at this time.
Rocky, my brother Goody, and I, when Rocky retired, our plan was to have a gymnasium in Brockton called the Marciano Gym. But of course, he had the unfortunate accident. And when that happened, my brother and I decided, let's go it alone. You know, we would have been a great team, the Marcianos and the Petronellis, you know.
Marvin Hagler's career serves as testimony to the Petronelli's success. On June 13th of '81, there was the revenge of Vito and Infermo.
He charged me, you know what I mean, hit me with the head, and they tried to blame it on me. I couldn't let him retire knowing that he's got a draw from Marvin Hagler. And that fight there, I loved every bit of it. I was going to put this man's life out. That was my way I felt.
Vito could not answer the bell for the 5th round. The long wait was over. But it was Marvin who gave Mustafa Hamsho 55 stitches in 11 rounds.
This guy had a big mouth, said I was scared of him in the beginning because I wouldn't give him a shot. At the press luncheon, I'll never forget it, he said that he would knock me out. He's got a nasty smile on his face, which I don't like, and I wanted to take that smile off his face, and which I did.
In his last title defense, Marvin disposed of a supposedly drug caveman lead in just 67 seconds.
I think that it's a disgrace when I see people say he was high on something or whatever like that. That's taking credibility away from me.
And now the rematch with Fulgencio Obel, who again is the #1 contender for his crown. Fulgencio Obel was a mysterious opponent. Yet, he claimed he was ill when you beat him. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't believe that. I gave this man here the biggest opportunity of his life. I remember hearing you at ringside, thought that I would tire myself out throwing so many punches. But this is the way that I had to fight this guy. I have to beat him with every punch before he gets off a big one. You know, I was very glad to see him go down. And I gave him such a whooping. It's surprising me today that this man wants to come back for a return match.
Marvin Hagler is the most imposing figure in boxing, living with the image of Rocky Marciano. He will probably go down in history as being one of the greatest middleweight champions ever. Marvin is content to lead his own lifestyle. Like Marciano, Marvin Hagler seeks only to please one person, and that is himself.
Coming at you. Go. Coming at you. Coming at you.
So Marvin Hagler now makes his way out of the locker room, and there he is coming in toward the ring. Fulgencio Obel is already in the ring. Marvin Hagler, Ray, really exudes just a picture of confidence at all times.
Well, Marvin is a very proud champion, Barry, and when he steps into the ring, he's all business.
Looks every bit the part now. He's looked the part, and he's been very loose, and I guess that's really a good sign for a fighter. You want to be loose before the fight, and he has been all week.
A lot of mistakes fighters make is they come into the ring and no perspiration, and they start off very cold. It's good to break a very good sweat.
Hagler's 5th title defense upcoming. He's won 54, has the 2 losses, a couple of draws, but they've been a long time, and each loss and each draw has been retaliated. 45 knockouts, 5 title defenses, 4 title defenses coming into this one. This is 5th, the second one against Fulgencio Obel. He nears the ring now. Obel has had to stand around for a long time. We've talked about what a psychological effect that has also, Ray.
Well, for the very first time, it takes its effect, its psychological effect, but Obel's been there. I don't think it's going to bother him.
So Marvin Hagler comes into the ring now. He is introduced. Leonello Conte is the ring announcer. We have several flags in the ring right now and a whole bunch of people. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape now. The ages are really comparable. Marvin Hagler, a year the senior of Fulgencio Obel. And Hagler, of course, giving away 3.5 inches in height, and that could be the biggest factor. 6'1" for Obel. Somebody said he was built like a light heavyweight. Obel also 3/4 of a pound heavier than Marvin Hagler. Obel coming in at 159 1/4 to Hagler's 158 1/2. And the reach, despite the 3.5-inch height advantage, is the same, 75 inches. So Marvin Hagler, obviously long arms. Fully Obel, even though he's 6'1", doesn't have an advantage that you might expect.
No, as a matter of fact, and this is a very small ring. In fact, it can be no larger than 17 by 17. It's one of the smallest rings I've seen. It looks like one of those rings in the gym.
Yeah, they said it was 18 by 18, but I think they're lying, to tell you the truth.
Well, maybe from the apron. But it's a very small ring, and you're going to see a lot of contact early.
All right now let's go up to the ring announcer, Leonello Conte, for the introduction to the two fighters.
Ripetiamo.
You will hear these introductions, incidentally, in Italian, of course, seeing as we are on the Italian Riviera in San Remo. And now let's hear from Leonello Conte.
Ripeto, Marvin Hagler accusato al peso, chilogrammi 71 e 900. Obel accusato al peso 72 e 500. L'incontro è previsto sulla distanza delle 15 riprese di 3 minuti l'una.
Eccoci pronti. Sotto
Momentary delay here. There's been a little bit of confusion surrounding this fight almost from the day we got to San Remo. The referee for this fight, Ernesto Magana, he is from Mexico. There was some talk that perhaps Marvin Hagler is overlooking this fight. He was talking to some of the British press about his next fight with Tony Simpson, and that is a fight that has been guaranteed by the WBC here tonight, that the winner of this fight will have a mandatory defense against Tony Simpson of England. But I just can't imagine Marvin Hagler has never been the type of guy to look by anybody.
That doesn't sound like Marvin Hagler. Doesn't even fit his description. Marvin trains hard for every fight, though.
Marvin, of course, has a training routine that is perhaps even more rigorous than any fighter around. We're eavesdropping now on the referee, Ernesto Magana. Let's listen.
Check your hand and good look for los dos. Dense las manos, que tengan suerte los dos.
So there you have it. There is nothing left to do but just settle it. Marvin Hagler calls his training camp jail.
Well, I think every training camp is a jail, especially my training camp.
Your jail's closed at the moment. You finally got out of jail. Sugar Ray Leonard, of course, has been overwhelmed by the media from all over the world that is in attendance here. Everybody asking you the same question.
What time is the party?
What time is the party? That's right. November 9th, of course, there will be a party in Baltimore, and that will be a party that not only earns some money for a good cause, but also we will have the long-awaited decision by Ray Leonard. I'm not going to ask.
Please.
Just about set for the first round of the middleweight championship in San Remo, Italy. There's the bell. We're underway. Marvin Hagler on the left of your screen wearing the red trunks, white stripe. Fully Obel in the white trunks wearing red shoes tonight.
The thing to expect in the first round is a lot of action, a lot of punches being thrown. Again, very small ring, and Obel, he's a tall opponent, and Marvin knows fully well that he has to get in close to be effective.
Well, Obel, as we mentioned, has been a straight-ahead kind of fighter, straight up and down and straight ahead. And that just is made to order for Marvin Hagler. Hagler will switch hands. Softball, but he'll go right-handed.
And also, again, the question that Larry Merchant has, whether or not Marvin can deal with this time, fighting at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I asked Steve Wainwright, the attorney and one of the cornermen of Marvin Hagler, and he was saying that Marvin has been working out at night, and usually does, even when he's back in Provincetown at his training camp. He usually works out between 7 and 9 at night, so he didn't seem to feel that it was going to have an appreciable effect. Either one of those punches doing a lot of damage. The crowd comes alive here, though. Fully Obel very popular here, but so too is Marvin Hagler. Hagler actually burst into prominence here in San Remo on the undercard of another contest between Vito Antuofermo and Hugo Coro.
I'm looking forward to a replay of the first fight. Marvin goes to the body, he wears down Fulgencio Obel, goes to the head, and the rest is history.
That is exactly what happened. Hagler, you saw slip a little bit. A couple of the fights earlier, we saw some fighters slip in that ring, although it does not appear to be damped. First round coming up on 1 minute remaining now. Right hand scored, but was warned for a little bit of a low blow by Ernesto Magana.
But I see some change in Obel. He's starting to throw punches under instead of over, like he did in the first fight.
We'll keep looking at those things, try to point out some of the changes in the style of Fulgencio Obel. He is obviously going to have to make some. Good right hand by Hagler, scored on the face of Fulgencio Obel. Obel trying to go downstairs early here. Hagler, remember, had that rib injury. That was another low blow, and Hagler indicates so, although referee Ernesto Magana said nothing about it.
Come on, Marvin.
Right hand scores by Obel as we wind down. 10 seconds remaining in the round. End of the first round, and that bell was about 7 seconds early. And let's go into Marvin Hagler's corner now.
Okay, man, look, keep that speed up. Use that jab more often now. More jab on it. He comes into you a little bit now.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so use that jab more. You can catch him with that jab and time it. Watch the uppercut. See what he's doing.
Robbie, this way. People got to watch. Get behind Steve a little bit. Yeah.
Now you get that first run out of
the man that's talking
And he hits
here.
in the break too, Mark.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, man.
Pretty good
You know what to do
indication.
with this guy.
Calm corner, Ray, and you've talked about that on numerous occasions. No excitement in the corner.
Well, it takes a professional corner to handle a professional fighter.
Marvin Hagler remaining very calm. We await the start of the second round here. Fulgencio Obel held his own pretty well in the first round.
Marvin had instructions to throw more jabs and also to watch those uppercuts. I think if anything, he should watch the low blows.
And Obel going downstairs with the right hand. He has done that consistently here. And tries to do it again, and again came up a little bit low. That left hand after Obel slipped a little bit, scoring by Marvin Hagler.
Obel is a rangy fighter and gets very good leverage in his punches. He stayed too high up on his toes. He needs to come down a little, he comes down flat foot.
Well, Obel has had great success, but there is an awful lot of discussion here, and in fact everywhere, and Larry Merchant alluded to that earlier, that a lot of politics involved in Fulgencio Obel's being the #1 contender.
We're in with the Marvin Hagler. It's going to take more in politics.
And Obel continues to try to go downstairs. It has not seemingly bothered Marvin Hagler so far tonight. Right hand by Obel. And another good right hand. And that hurt Marvin Hagler a little bit. Hagler comes back with a right hand of his own. And an uppercut and another right hand. So Obel scoring rather freely here.
Well, Marvin has changed his style from the first fight because he's moving back and giving Fulgencio Obel the opportunity to gain momentum and throw those overhand rights.
Hagler seems a little bit bothered, although he does not seem to be hurt by Obel. Hagler, very patient fighter. He will pace himself. He did that in the first fight as well. Long right hand.
Marvin has that very stiff right jab. It comes out, it's a powerful right jab that knocks the opponent's head back and puts him in position so he can throw that left hand.
Crowd support early on here, pretty much in favor of Fulgencio Obel. End of round 2. We'll go into the corner of Fulgencio Obelmejias now and see if we can pick up what's going on there. This conversation will be in Spanish. However, we do have a Spanish interpreter here ringside, so I'm trying to let you know. Let's take a...
One of the best punches. Fulgencio Obel comes with that overhand right and catches Marvin on the side of the face. It was a pretty good punch, yet it wasn't flush on the chin. Again, he lands with that overhand right to the chin of Marvin. Marvin started off pretty slow that second round.
So Marvin, and we talked about the fact that he's only had 67 seconds of fight. Another very calm corner. Third round, and Fulgencio Obel holding his own here for the first 2 against the champion, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Should point out that Marvelous Marvin Hagler is the man's legal name now, and he would like to be referred as Marvelous Marvin at all times, so we will do our best to accommodate him. That was Hagler's best combination.
You'll see now more cautious Marvin, and also you'll see that his punches will become more accurate, and he'll put them together in combinations.
Another low blow there by Fulgencio Obel.
See, one punch doesn't catch a tall opponent. You have to put him in a series in sets, 3, 4, 5 punches.
Hagler starting to straighten his punches out. Actually, Obel's legs wobbled a little bit, and it wasn't that hard to punch.
So what had happened, Barry, accidentally, Marvin stepped on his foot.
You could almost sense Marvin Hagler starting to get in gear a little bit, get into a rhythm.
And that's what it takes. It takes a rhythm from a fighter. The bad thing to do is to fight the opponent's pace.
There was a good left hand by Hagler that caught Obel right on the chin. Hagler working to the stomach now as well. Comes overhand with the right and scores, and Obel gets out of there. Obel retreating against Marvin Hagler a little bit here in this round.
Inside Fulgencio, he can't deal with Marvin because Marvin is the short of the two and can put his punches together a lot, well, better, far better than Obel. Outside is a different story because Obel is taller and he gets far better leverage than Marvin.
Well, Fulgencio Obel complained loudly after the fight last time about bronchitis or a bad cold, said it affected his breathing. He just didn't have any energy. So this time around, it's all fair. The right hand that caught Marvin mostly on the gloves. Neither man has really been hurt. We're in the third round. Middleweight championship. Right to the top of the head by Obel. And that left hand caught him on the shoulder, and Obel with a good counter-punch with left.
What's Marvin trying to do? Trying to counter Obel's punches. He'll let Obel throw a shot, he'll wait and come back with something.
Marvin Hagler has been a very patient fighter.
You know, Marvin trying to set him up with that left hand.
End of the third round, and now we'll go to Marvin Hagler's corner, and let's listen to Goody Petronelli.
That's better round.
What do you think about Postleton right-handed? You think he'll have any?
Looking for this.
Yeah.
He's going to get careless, Marv. He's going to get careless, getting cocky. He's getting careless. You're going to start slowing down here.
Putting the pressure on him, Marv, he's doing a lot better.
And you're moving your head nice, too, Marv. Keep both hands up nice and high, Marv. You're doing all right.
You have enough of it?
You get the pitch, Marv. He's going to make that one mistake.
Well, World Championship Boxing continues in 2 weeks right here on HBO, and we do have a good one for you. We'll be bringing you the Battle of Champions. WBA Junior Welterweight Champion Aaron Pryor taking on Lightweight Champion Alexis Arguello, who will be going for an unprecedented 4th title in 4 weight divisions. Live Friday, November 12th, 9 o'clock Eastern from the Orange Bowl in Miami. Ray, that should be a good fight.
I can't wait. It's going to be a dynamite fight there.
Expect a pretty good crowd down in the Orange Bowl, too. We heard some stories that tickets were in excess of 30,000 so far, so there'll be a great crowd on hand for that fight. 2 very diverse styles. We have a couple of diverse styles here, too. Marvin Hagler, Fulgencio Obelmejias in the 4th round of the middleweight championship. We're in San Remo, Italy.
Marvin's corner is very pleased with where he's fighting.
Great left hand right there.
He's been moving his head, and he's getting inside. And they feel that Fulgencio Obelmejias is starting to slow down now.
I think you might have heard Goody Petronelli say that to Marvin Hagler. He'll slow down. He'll get careless, is what they said. And Hagler is a smart enough fighter. You can't afford a mistake.
You see how the tables have turned. Now Obelmejias moving away. Hagler's the aggressor now.
And the fight shaping up right now very much like the first one, as you mentioned.
A good punch that Marvin throws, you have to watch very carefully for it. He throws that upward right jab. He dips and it comes up like a missile.
There was a left hand, and that hurt Fulgencio Obelmejias, who covers up for the moment and comes back with a left hand of his own.
The best punch on the throw on southpaw is that good left hook or an overhand right. Also that looping right hand that Obel was able to catch Marvin with earlier.
Obel looking a little bit awkward with some of his punches. Hagler misses a wild right hand.
When both of the fighters are inside, it looks like the first fight, because this is when Marvin took control and he was able to hurt Fulgencio Obel.
And he hurt him right there as Obel gets out of there and takes another right hand and also takes an uppercut.
But those uppercuts really do a lot of damage to fighters. And they work to the body and back up to the head. It raises them up and you're able to come across with the right hand. Just like Marvin just did.
Stinging right hand, Obel back with a left hand of his own and takes the left hand from Hagler.
Watch the uppercuts, Barry. Very effective. Once the fighter's down, we see in a crouch. Those uppercuts brings his head up, in line to throw a combination.
And there was a combination of 3 punches culminated by a right hand by Hagler and another right hand.
Again, watch the uppercuts. Once Hagler gets inside, he works those uppercuts.
10 seconds remaining in the round here. This is the 4th round. It went 8 the first time. Obel taking a beating in this round from Hagler, another chopping right hand. And there's the uppercut at the bell.
Jake, hold the ice there. Give him some breathing room now.
Bell saved him, stuff.
Yeah, you had him going.
Yeah, the bell saved him out.
Spit it off, man. Look, that's good, Mike. See how you're going? You rough that pass up. You really had him going, Mike. Honest to God. You turn right hand on him, too. And you get that rhythm going, you're banging in tight. Good.
Well, we have an opportunity to see some of the punches that were thrown by Marvin. Those uppercuts are very effective against a guy inside. And you see here, Marvin brings his head up and connects with the overhand right and follows through very well. Marvin has become very aggressive in that 4th round, and Fulgencio Obel tries to come back. But he's starting to tire now, Barry. Obel seems like he's starting to get discouraged.
Well, you heard Goody Petronelli say that the bell saved him. This is a little bit later in the 4th round.
That's that upward right jab I was talking about that Marvin has.
They come to the center of the ring, the start of round 5. I also heard somebody in Hagler's corner say, get it over with. So let's see if Marvin Hagler does here in the 5th round.
This may be the round that Marvin gets Obel out of there. because Obel's moving around. He doesn't seem as confident as he was.
Left and a right hand by Hagler hurt Obel there. And Hagler's throwing good combinations now, too.
Oh, he's getting closer now. And that right jab is getting him closer. That up, again, that upward jab. And the uppercut's very effective.
Obel with a little bit of swelling on his right cheek right now. Wild left hand misses by Marvin Hagler.
You see, Obel doesn't want to fight anymore. He's moving away. And at this point, it's as though he's just trying to survive.
Obel bleeding from the nose also now.
If Marvin can get a couple more of those uppercuts in and raise the head of Obel, I'm sure he can finish him off this round.
There's a right hand. Didn't quite get all of it. Obel misses a wild right hand. Obel's staying close now, and that's very dangerous territory. Backs away with a left hand, but he didn't have any leverage behind the punch. There was a left hand that did score on Marvin Hagler.
Obel's making the mistake of slapping, Barry. He's not balling his fist up. So the punches are not that effective with him. Marvin, on the other hand, puts everything behind his punches.
Yeah, Marvin Hagler always on balance when he throws a punch, and I think you got a good example of someone who is and someone who isn't here.
You notice the way Marvin throws those body shots. They take a toll on the fighter. I think they're taking his toll on Obel.
Obel looks like a tired fighter here in the 5th round. He's taken a pretty good beating so far from Marvin Hagler just in the last 2 rounds.
Watch your head.
And referee Ernesto Magana says, watch your head. There's an uppercut that scores and a right hand that scores, and Obel's still in close and still taking punishment. And another right hand, and down he goes. What a right hand from Marvin Hagler.
Those uppercuts were very effective. Raise his head,
and
he's over. He's through, Barry.
This one is all over. And that was a smashing right hand that did it.
Marvin put some beautiful combinations together. He was a technician tonight. Well, this morning, I may say.
And you can really see him start to get in a rhythm after about the 2nd round. Marvin Hagler's handlers have him up on their shoulder now. 2 minutes, 40 seconds of the 5th round, the official time. And Marvin did break a sweat, and I think he had a pretty good work. I think it's a work that he will say he really needed.
And again, the fact that that long layoff that Marvin had was not a factor.
And it might have taken him 4 or 5 minutes just to kind of get into the flow of things.
Just to get back into the groove. He worked for the first 4 rounds, and all of a sudden, that adrenaline stopped flowing, Barry, and he put his punches together very well.
Well, Marvin Hagler, the winner by a knockout here, and I can't really say that there are too many people in this theater, and let's take another look at it, who are surprised.
Well, here we see Marvin just taking control now. He feels very confident. His punches are very accurate. He comes across with that good overhand right hook that sends Fulgencio Obel to the canvas. And the way Obel fell, his left leg nearly folded under him.
There was no doubt about it. It was a classic one-punch knockout, even though Obel had taken quite a lot of punishment right up to that point.
Marvin, he led up to that knockout. In fact, the punch he was throwing, he started throwing more right jab, started going to the body a lot more. The uppercuts, once again, were very effective in this particular fight.
Well, after about the 2nd round, there was really no doubt about it. Do you question the way that Fulgencio Obel went about fighting this fight? He started to go downstairs early on. He did score early on, but he never did hurt Marvin Hagler.
There's nothing you can really say that was disappointing as far as Fulgencio Obel is concerned, Barry, because, again, you can't change a fighter, especially a fighter like Fulgencio Obel. He is designed to fight that particular style, straight ahead. He tried to change with Marvin, and it's tough to change against a fighter of Marvin Hagler's caliber.
So maybe what you have to question is the fact that here is a guy who was at 2 title shots. You might have to say, did he earn 1? Did he earn 2?
Well, whatever the case is, he was in with Marvin Hagler. Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Well, let me give you a hypothetical now, and I realize this is a hypothetical situation. How would you fight a Marvin Hagler?
If a hypothetical answer, I would box Marvin.
one more look at the knockout from another angle.
There we had a better shot. We saw the power of Marvin Hagler's right hook.
Well, we talked about the fact also that Marvin Hagler is a guy who always seems to be on balance, and he certainly was on balance with that punch. Never really got completely up on his toes, even though it was a long right hand.
Marvin got very good leverage behind that right hook. In fact, he was close, Bird, and that's the reason the power was there.
Well, let's make another assumption now. Let's make another assumption that Sugar Ray Leonard is not going to be around to contest Marvin Hagler. What's next for a guy like Marvin Hagler?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's defeated everybody, and the way this crowd is accepting Marvin, it's a standing ovation.
Well, we should point out we're in a movie theater here, so when Marvin Hagler has a stage, in this case we mean it literally. He is on stage right now.
You are the best!
And Marvin has really done a job tonight. There's no question about it. But again, I think you really have to say, consider the source. There was never a doubt about this fight, I don't think.
Not at all. In fact, Bird, I say it would probably be a replay of the first fight. Marvin, he's just an all-around champion. I mean, he can do everything.
Well, Marvin Hagler, you look at right now with the Petronelli brothers, Goody and Pat. Steve Wainwright are behind him with his pate very similar to that of the champion Marvin Hagler. And Marvin is on his way over to talk with us now.
That's right, that's right. Keep him back, that's right, that's right. That's right.
Which one? See a little bit of confusion going on right now. We're trying to get Marvin Hagler in here, and we will in just a moment.
Look good, baby.
All right, you look good, man. Oh, yeah. People are so good here, I couldn't step in the right way that I wanted to, but now I can.
How's the time?
Great, man. No, you know, it felt good. I think the rest did me real good, you know? Yeah. I came out real strong. I knew I was ready for 15 if I had to go to 15. Also, I understand how generous Leonard is. I'm hoping that we can get together in there and make this big money that we've been talking about.
Let's get this on air.
I heard about all over, and the people want to see it, Leonard. We don't want you to retire yet until you come at the marvelous one.
Okay,
it's got to be the big one, right?
That is the biggest one.
All right. Y'all heard that too, right on TV.
Not 3 o'clock in the morning.
Not going to fight at 3 o'clock in the morning. Did that have any effect, Ian?
No, I don't think so. I kind of psyched myself out, getting ready. I went with the American time back home, and it did me a lot of good. Plus, I don't like Obel anyway. Nothing personal, but you know, he just got a nasty attitude about him, and that maybe just wanted to stir him that much more.
We were saying that it looked to us like it took you about 2 or 3 minutes to get into a rhythm.
It did, because, you know, he came out with a different style this time. He was trying to catch me coming in with the uppercut, and it was a good thing that we practiced for that punch doing our workouts.
One-punch knockout. Marvin Hagler doesn't do one-punch knockouts usually.
No way. I like for him to go out professionally.
Ray, what about you? You got a question?
Well, I was saying that your uppercuts were so effective, Marvin. You got inside and worked. It was just a replay of the first fight.
Exactly. Well, that's what I figured, that it would take me time in order to start recording what happened the first time, you know. But like, he tried to stand up a little bit, tried to outbox me in the beginning, which we figured that he would. I take nothing away from Obel. He's a very strong opponent, and I believe that he'll give any of the contenders that's on the way up a fit.
Do you think he changed his style in any sense?
Yes, you know, he tried to outbox me more, where in the first fight he was more aggressive because of, you know, he's been knocking everybody out. But here's where that professional aspect comes from, you know, where you don't fight the guy's fight. You make him fight your own fight.
Talk us through the knockout here. We just saw it. I think we'll get another chance to see it. Marvin, tell us a little bit about it, how you set it up. And I don't think there's any doubt. As soon as the punch landed, you had to know the man was out.
I knew he was out because it felt beautiful on my hand. I heard my corner saying that it's just a matter of time, Marvin. Keep him pumping him and just put him together. I figured that I stung him in the 3rd round. In the 4th round, I just started punishing him. In the 5th round, just started putting the things together.
Let's assume for just a minute that the guy on my right does say, that's it, I'm not going to have another go at it. What is next in that case? There still is the simple fact that there hasn't been the big money fight.
They always blame me for the headbutt, and it's not true. Obel is bringing his head forward. The belly shot, matter of fact, bring the man forward into you. Naturally, what I have to be is underneath him, and that's what I'm trying to get. And if there's a headbutt, there's many headbutts from him on my head, then which the referee, I didn't go for that, though, you know.
All right, let me go back to that question once more then. If Ray Leonard does decide that's enough, I've had it, I'm not going to have a go at Marvin.
You can't do that. You got to make some of that money. I'm tired of people telling me how generous he is and how good friends we go. If I'm such a good friend, give me that big payday then. That's what we want. We want to show real artists and everything else out there, and I believe that it's us that can do it. All right.
I like that. Mike, trying to sign me up.
Now, y'all heard that right on HBO. I'd like to thank HBO really for putting on some great fights for me, because they gave me the biggest opportunity that I've had in a long time by them showing me on cable television. I'm hoping that I'm at the right time, at the right place, because everybody knows the bad luck that I've been having. But it's a good way to end this year off. And this fight here is not only for myself. This fight is for somebody that they don't know, but it's their birthday. These two guys, my trainer and manager, they've been hiding it. They never tell you about it.
How old are they?
So happy birthday. Happy birthday, and this victory is for you guys.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
All right, Marvin, you've always given us a good show, too. Thank you, and we at HBO want to thank you, because you always give us good television. I got to say that.
What I like to do is I like to thank God for giving me the strength and the courage, and to all my loved ones and good friends, old friends down in Newark, New Jersey. All right.
All right, you got a lot of friends here in San Remo, Italy, too. Marvin Hagler defending his title, and we got Zoo Parade right here, I'll tell you that. Haven't answered too many questions about what's next, but Marvin Hagler did answer one very serious question, and that is the simple fact that there's really, Ray, nobody in the middleweight division, I don't think, who can touch Marvin Hagler right now.
Well, that's true. I think that marvelous Marvin, has proven himself all cases. And he is a true champion. He said he wants me. I'm going to think about it.
All right, you got to think about it. We'll find out exactly what you are thinking in just about a week. November 9th, that's the day that Sugar Ray Leonard will tell us exactly what Sugar Ray Leonard is all about. We got a knockdown going on right side the camera here. Right now, let's go to New York and Larry Merchant. Larry?